jacked up floor, Trey and John on the mixers, and we got the business owner herself putting down the design. Let's go. So we've already started the grinding process. Trey's already hit this room, and you can see he's got right up to the edges. Remember, we had carpet glue on all these edges. Jim's got some really good shots of that. So this room's basically ready, right, to do the next step. Come out here, he's already hit out here. He got as close to the cabinets as he could, right? Took a lot more stuff up, and then he's gonna work on this room now, right? We got a lot of carpet glue on all these edges that they didn't get up. And so again, we don't want to coat over stuff like this. So we're gonna take the time, do this right for them, help them out, get that up, right? Get all these edges clean. Another thing we did was took the doors off, right? If you could take the doors off, which you should be able to, it's gonna save you a lot of time, right? We can walk in and out. We're not gonna have a door hanging here. We've got to close it to get behind it, open it to come out. It just makes coating so much easier and faster if you can remove those doors. So he's got this room. You can see we've already taped off all the door casings, right? And notice they're taped high, right? We always tape high. A couple spots out here, and then we're gonna basically jump into patching. So we're gonna do our patch or paste on all the cracks, the saw cuts. And so we'll finish this up, and then we'll show you that next step. So when I'm mixing, I'm just basically mixing it enough until I have one consistent color. I don't have any streaking in it or anything. We just mixed a full batch, and what we're gonna do is we're just gonna start filling. We wanna make sure we push it in tight into the cracks, the saw cuts, and then we're gonna scrape it kind of flat, feathered edge, right? That way when we do our epoxy seal coat in about a half an hour, right, we don't have any high ridges or anything like that we have to deal with. But you can see how it's feathered edge now. There's no ridges, it's filled. So I always like hitting hairline cracks, anything that epoxy might potentially seep into and not fill up. And so what I did while Alex was vacuuming, I went around each room, figured out the square feet, right? 108 square feet. This room right here, tape on the walls. This one was 66 square feet, right? We come over here. This room is 100 square feet, and it'll just make it easy. I can just go to rooms and add square footage up, right? So we're gonna be mixing 3 gallons first, and we're doing our epoxy seal coat. So that gets spread at 400 square feet a gallon. So if I'm making 3 gallons and it goes down at 400 square foot a gallon, I'm gonna cover 1,200 square feet. The guys have already started batching out the product for the seal coats, and we're also gonna pigment the seal coat too, because we're doing soft tan on this floor. So we're gonna add pigment into this epoxy, soft tan, same color, right? Just to kind of tint the concrete more of a brownish, tannish color. They already poured out the part A's of what we need to make into the bucket, added the pigment packs, right, while I was getting the patcher paste ready. And so all he has to do now is add the hardener. So he just added the hardener, and then he's gonna do our 3P2 process. A very, very thorough mixing process that we came up with. Ensures no soft spots. Make sure we know for certain all the resin is gonna set up and be hard. And so he's gonna do that, get that all mixed up for us. And then we're gonna be, again, spreading that 3-gallon kit. Should get us all the way out almost to that, right? All these rooms, all the way out almost to that door. And then 1.5 gallons, we'll finish the rest, so we'll know we have enough product. So the plan is pour this out, beads everywhere. I'm gonna hit it real quick, spread it out with the squeegee, our flat squeegee. We've also used our notch squeegees, cut the notches off, but that's more of like a push, right? A push trowel, right? We're always pushing it and stuff. This is more of a pulling, right? And so this will just spread it quickly, and then Alex is gonna go behind me and scratch it as tight as he can with just a drywall tool, right? Made for drywall. So it's the next day. We're basically just getting everything ready to start the coating process. Looking at the floor, you can really see how pitted it is from them grinding. I mean, you can tell where all the low spots were, right? So the seal coat helped fill in those low spots, kind of level out the floor. And that's a good thing, because if we were to put our epoxy just over this, maybe we primed, did our WB primer over it, we're probably gonna need extra resin, and because we're losing so much product in these low spots. And so now it's a relatively flatter floor, which is always ideal for doing a decorative floor, right? We wanna get it as smooth and as flat as we can. And so what they're doing right now is basically going around putting tape on the floors and addressing any spots that we had bubbles. Maybe there's chunks that we need to scrape off, right? Just going around, making sure no ridges, chunks are sticking up in the concrete, making sure we're gonna fill any outgassing bubbles. Here's another couple bubbles that we need to address, right? Here's another one. You can tell because it's got a perfect circle. It obviously popped, but we still wanna fill that. And we like to fill those with just Bondo. It dries quick, so we're able to patch these spots, put the Bondo on there and sand it immediately, and then we can start coating. They're basically getting everything ready that they can before adding the part B, which is the hardener, which starts the chemical reaction to set up the resin. And so while they're doing that, I'm gonna map out how far each section goes. So we wanna make 6 gallons of epoxy at a time. We're doing 45 square foot a gallon times 45, 270 square feet. I want to know how far that 6 gallons should go on this floor. Boom. So I went ahead and just taped off everything so it makes a little more sense. So I'll just walk through it real quick. We have multiple sections. So our first 6 gallon batch is gonna coat into here. Majority of this little section, James already knows, and then this room. Second section, right? Second batch we make, 6 gallons is gonna coat from here to this tape line, and then these 2 rooms, bathroom and then this other room. So that's our next 6 gallons. Our third 6 gallon batch is gonna coat from here to this tape line, all the way to that wall. Our next 6 gallons is gonna coat from this tape line, wall to this one, right? All the way to the cabinets, right? We have our mixer station there, so I'm not taping that off. And obviously we'll be moving that as we mix product. Next one's gonna coat this whole section to cabinets into this blue tape. And then our last section, we'll probably mix up like 1.5 gallons, and we'll coat this little area here, right? So what's going on here is each bucket's 3 gallons. So there's one section, those two, these two are another section, these two are section 3, these two are section 4, those two are section 5, those two over there are section 6, right? We set up all the buckets that we're gonna need to do the first part of mixing. We dump in the 2 gallons of part A, and so all these buckets have the 2 gallons of part A. John's going through and adding one of the 3-gallon pigment packs to each bucket, right? We're doing soft tan, 3 gallons. So basically we're trying to get as much done before we add the hardener, right? Do our 3P2 process, and then we'll jump into coating, go over all that, how to create this beautiful design to watch, because we're doing, again, a little bit different technique as far as design. Okay, so we're ready to go. We got our Leggari spike shoes ready, right? We're gonna be walking on those. We got our notch squeegee. And then we got 18-inch roller. We always like to cross roll after the notch squeegee, 3/8 nap, been de-shedded. And then the 9-inch, which we're gonna swirl the floor and create the look that we're going for with the 9-inch. Same thing, 3/8 nap, make sure you de-shed them. This is what 3P2 looks like. So we got 2 gallons of part A, we got the pigment in there. So 3P2 is, we go from the top, right? After Trey adds the hardener, spinning the drill all the way to the bottom. Once he hits the bottom, go around once or twice, come back up slow. Once he hits the top, go around once or twice. He's gonna do that 3 times. And then the letter P stands for pour into the secondary mixing container, which we have blue tape on because we can reuse these. And then he's gonna do the same process up and down 2 more times. So that's the most thorough way to mix resin. You'll never have a soft spot on your floor or a sticky spot. All right, so we got, John's finishing up his batch. Trey already poured it. We need to coat these 2 rooms, that room on the left, and this little section here. So we're gonna pour this out, and then I'm gonna take the notch squeegee, get the whole floor coated. We're gonna cross roll the floor after that, and then we're gonna add highlights and swirl those in. So that's kind of the process to get the floor down. All right, so next step is to roll it, right? We spread it out with the notch squeegee, and I don't want to just soak up my roller because it's dry right now, right? I don't want to soak it up in one spot, so I kind of jump around the floor, hitting different spots. Once it gets kind of saturated, I'm just rolling it really quick. Trey's mixing up highlights. So we got the base coat spread on our first section, right? We will go around, we put a paintbrush on a pole. We're gonna go around and make sure resin's all the way up to the edges, especially around the door casing, the door trim, right? There's no more trim going there. Obviously we have trim going around all the base, so it doesn't have to be perfect. All right, so we got the highlights. About the time that I get these dumped out, I'll have them start mixing the next section. The trick is to not screw this up, is to start out small and go jump back and forth and add more and more and more. And so what I like to do is just kind of scoop it just a bunch of different directions. Didn't use very much. We got color all throughout here. So again, I'm just gonna run around, get color everywhere, and then we'll come back and add more where it's needed. All right, so I got about half left. Now I want to go and make sure I get color on all the edges. Right, we want this floor to look like it's going underneath the wall. So you can see how much I have left. Right, you never want to run out. You're better off wasting a little or putting too much in one section. You don't have enough for the next section. So what I'll do now is I'll just go around and add some throughout some of these spots. So the trick with swirling is just go a bunch of different directions. Just blending it around. We're not trying to move the resin, we're just trying to blend the colors. We gotta make sure we get a little color right up to those edges. We don't want just white half-inch line around the whole floor. But again, just real quick, right? We're not trying to move product, we're just trying to blend it, blend the colors. All right, so we got first section done, right? Spread out, blended. Last thing I need to do is disperse the surface with isopropyl alcohol. We use 91% or higher. You can kind of see right here what it does. Just adds a little more dimension to the floor. If you don't like that, you can skip that step and just spray denatured alcohol, right? But we have a nice glass smooth floor now. It looks really good. And then notice we already have the second section down going, right? That's how we want to do it. We want to get a section done, and then we don't want to have to wait. So when we start blending those highlights, we tell the guys to mix the next section, right? And so now they're going to start spreading this section out. I'm going to go disperse the surface, and then I like to let the isopropyl evaporate for about 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes. And then if there's any bubbles or anything in the surface, I like to mist it with denatured alcohol. We just don't want to flood the surface, right? We don't want to muddy out the colors. We just want to hit it real quick and light, and that'll create that glass smooth finish. So that's kind of the process. So these two, the first section's done, spread the base coat, roll it real quick, add your highlights, blend it, and then make sure you get your edges good, color on all your edges. And then the cool thing about this process is if you wanted to do a solid one color floor, like maybe you wanted to do just soft tan, right? You would just do this process, roll it, mist it with denatured, and now you have a single color, solid color floor. So similar processes, right? You're just not doing highlights. So it's just kind of same process until we're done. And the reason we do sections is because we always want fresh fluid product, right? So this is fresh product. When we get to this section, new product just mixed, working time starts over, right? And so that's how you do big project. You do a 10,000 square foot building, same process, and you'll always have fresh product. All right, so now we're on our third section. We got Jade out here. She's helping blend the floor. She is the owner of this building and dumping out the second 3-gallon kit right here. So again, guys, right, we did first section. We just completed the second section. Jade's blending the colors, and then we're gonna spread out the third section while they're finishing that. By the time we get done with that, that'll probably be ready to apply the isopropyl alcohol. And then, I mean, it's gonna start moving quick, right? We're out of the rooms, the hallways, the tight areas, getting into the big floor. So we're gonna be able to spread this out even faster. So we're gonna get this finished out, spread it out. We'll film it, probably won't talk much. We'll clean up all the tools, denatured alcohol in a rag to get them nice and clean. And then tomorrow we'll come back and do the top coat. Always map out your project so you can do, right, you can do a coating and do the next coating that's needed the next day. If you wait longer than a couple days, you gotta sand the surface and it just takes more manpower, more work. So always try to plan projects to where you can get in every day until you're finished. So we'll get this finished up and then we'll see you guys back here tomorrow. So we're back, it's the next day. It got pretty cold last night, so the resin's still really soft. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you, you can still get on the resin when it's soft, even if you're leaving footprints. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stand right here for a second and kind of push down. I'm gonna get a nice little footprint into this floor. See that? See how, I mean, pretty deep indents, right? I'm gonna kind of explain what we're doing today. We're gonna come back and these are all gonna be flattened off. So just wanna point that out because you still can come on the floor and top coat if it's still soft. Don't be alarmed by the footprints, they will bounce back, right? And so what we're doing today, you see blue tapes on the floor. We have a few outgassing bubbles, which typically always gonna have some type of repair that's needed after doing your decorative coat. So they're going around sanding them flat. We got one right here. It's already been sanded, right? There's a pin dot hole right there. That's where the air was releasing, right? And if we didn't do that seal coat, epoxy seal coat, we'd probably have a lot more outgassing bubbles. A lot of this tape is just kind of debris. To fix that, we just sand that down, 220 grit. Always use 220 grit or finer when you're sanding before the top coat. So what we're doing now is we're going around filling all the outgassing bubbles that we sanded. We sanded them, we cleaned them good with denatured alcohol. We're gonna just be using our epoxy. We're gonna pigment it. we mixed it, we're immediately filling these in. We're gonna overfill them, and then tomorrow we'll come back, sand them flush, and then we'll be able to apply our top coat. And so what we did is, broke a paint stick, broke a tongue depressor. He's just dipping it into the epoxy and then letting it drip off into the spots that we need to fill, and just make sure you overfill it. That way when we sand it, it's perfectly smooth and flush. Few things when we're top coating, when Trey's spraying, always have high pressure in the sprayer, and make sure you're spraying right on your previous spot that you rolled out. You don't want to have a gap there or overlap too much to where the product's going to be too thick. And then when you're hitting edges, try to hit edges as you're going. Don't just go around a whole room and hit all the edges, because by the time you get to it with the big roller, it's going to already be dried out, and you're gonna have like a ridge there. And so we've been kind of just hitting edges as we go. I'll catch up and then we'll hit some more. And then always no pressure on the roller. We're trying to minimize any thick edges that'll create roller lines. And then notice we've never stopped in the middle of the floor, rolled, picked it up. It's always edge to edge. We pick up on an edge. If you roll and stop, you want to feather it off of the floor. Don't just stop and pick up the roller. So we're going to finish this out, and then we can clean like the paddle wheel, anything that we want to clean, just water. We'll clean the sprayer out really good, run a bunch of water through it. But that's pretty much it. So once they get everything moved in, we'll come back and get you some final footage so we can see how this looks with all the room finished, all this stuff in here, chairs. It's going to look really cool.